Good evening, class of 2015. Thought we'd have to try that again, so good job on the first time. You want to try it again one more time? Good evening, class of 2015. Very good, very good. I am honored that our graduating class has for the most part voted me to give the faculty speech this year. Thank you for this honor. I do have to acknowledge, though, that this would not be possible. I would not actually be here if it weren't for those two people that made me, my mom and dad. Mom and Dad, would you please stand up? I see you right over there. Please stand up so everybody can see you. Thank you, Mom and Dad. I've made it. You can be proud of me. I know some of you are wondering, those are my parents. They're not my grandparents. The Stallings family ages not very well, let's just say that. Out of this graduating class, parents, family members, I have taught 90 students. And while we all have had our good and bad days, I've enjoyed teaching all of you and getting to know those of you who I have never had. There's one order of business I need to get out of the way before we actually begin. I've heard several seniors make the statement that people believe that that their class is not memorable, or that their class is being measured to what last year's class did. And frankly, this is absolutely ridiculous. Before I go into the major portion of my speech, I want to let all of you know you are memorable. You have achieved greatness in a variety of ways. The measurement of graduating class should not be based on athletic achievement or voices and personalities that ring loud. It's based on the individual that makes up that class as a whole, that gives the entire senior student body its identity. If I had to characterize this year's graduates, I would describe them as follows. They care about each other. They care beyond each other. And I feel that this for our school has been infectious. The negativity and naysaying that could exist within students does not with this class, and does not as a whole within the high school. And it is because of them. As a teacher, I want to thank you for being leaders that don't direct and tell others what to do, but lead by example. Something my granddaddy always told me is that people are watching what you do and how you act and react. And it's based off of this that they model their own lives. You embody this, and I hope it's a trait that you don't lose. In my final characterization of this class, I would have to say that they are eccentric. The definition, if you don't know, is that they are unusual. They have deviated from the norm of what many think high school is about. They are real. They are sincere. And they don't put up a facade of who they are. This is something many people never fully achieve. And it's because of this that you are able to help other students and friends, and you are friends with a variety of other students. If there were a way to have a statement made about this year's graduates, it would be that based on your identity, I worry that we might not have another class like yours. This being said, all I've heard this week is, I'm so over high school. I'm over at Stallings. I'm done. That's Cassie Kemper. Mention me in your speech, Stallings. Mackenzie Downs. How's your speech coming along? Which is pretty much almost all of you. I'm so stressed, which is many of you who've taken a final exam the past couple of days. And I think what students mean to say is, are we there yet? This is a statement and a question that festers in the subconscious of our minds. We grow up with this question when we're taking a trip to somewhere, and we're asking our parents, are we there yet? Are we there yet? That's what we mean. Are we there yet? Yes, we're here. But the other question I have for you is, maybe you're there? Depends on what your plans are within the next year. Hopefully most of you find yourselves pursuing some sort of higher education, and I think most of you have those aspirations, which is really, really scary. Just so you understand how scary it is, let's go through some Stallings flashbacks. Many years ago when I was in 8th grade, Danny and I were riding the bus home from school. Danny was my best friend throughout high school. He had these big ears that kids would pick on him for. Sometimes they call him Dumbo. And it was because of this that he wasn't very confident with himself. So because of this, he naturally felt he would never find a girlfriend, or he wouldn't have women flocking all over him. Now, to preface this, I want to say that most of us in junior high, parents included, have said some pretty stupid things. And some of these were probably fueled by those crazy hormones in our bodies at the time. So, we're on the bus. We're talking about this problem with his ears. And I told him, knowing that he wanted to work with money, that he could be my accountant, and we'd open a gentleman's club. And then we'd have all the women we wanted. This didn't happen. Neither did my friendship with Danny. I didn't really speak much with Danny until 2010, 8 years after I graduated high school, which is when he asked me to be the best man at his wedding. My wife and I went down to his wedding. We celebrated with him in the occasion. That's the last time I've spoken to him. And it's not that we had a falling out. It's not that we got into an argument. We just lived. He's got a little girl now. And I'm happy to say my wife and I are expecting twins. Twin paychecks. Mr. Meister, it's payday today, isn't it? Yeah. Twin paychecks. Fraternal twin paychecks. Thank you. Parents and family, if you don't know, students who've been in my class about every 2 weeks, I say that my wife and I are expecting, and they finally caught on. So a couple of them in the front row knew that this was all a joke. But thank you for the applause anyway. I know that you're thinking of us. This aside, many of you will never see each other again, and if you do, it'll be brief. You'll be different in some ways, and you'll pick back up telling those old stories about how you flipped the mover onto Stallings' desk during English class, or something of the sort. Despite the dissipation of friendship from high school, I look forward to my freshman orientation in July at Winthrop University in South Carolina, where I knew no one. I was staying in a dorm room and had just checked in and decided that I needed to take a nap before the big dinner and get-together of all the freshmen at that specific orientation. The dorm room itself was a suite adjoining to another room, and the door was closed. But within 10 minutes of me shutting my eyes, I heard this knock on the adjacent door. The door opens, and this little short guy with a South Carolina Gamecocks hat is standing in the door frame. And he says to me, "Hey, I'm Ryan." I find out the next few days that Ronnie smoked like a chimney, ate nothing but cheeseburgers or fries, and dated a girl allergic to cigarette smoke. And despite these individual intricacies, he's been my best friend since that day in July. At the same time, I was attending college my freshman year. My father was walking into my bedroom at home in New York City and would sit in my bedroom crying, wanting me to come back home. I was so eager to get out of my parents' house and to be independent and get away from the high school stuff and go to college. So much so that after my parents dropped me off in August, I really didn't speak to them until Christmas. My parents even came down from New York to South Carolina and were standing in the lobby of my dorm calling my room from the front desk. I answered and they asked if we could spend some time together. I said no. They said that they were in the lobby of my dorm and had made the long trip, and I didn't budge. I was 3 stories above where they were standing. and I didn't move from that room to come down and be with my family. Don't do what Stallings did. Don't lose sight of those people you love, those family members who always have your back. I think on behalf of everybody in this gym, we want you to be safe, work hard at your studies, and make us proud. If you have any excitement, nervousness, or fear right now about what will happen to your life within the next few months, keep in mind that a few years down the road, those emotions will be multiplied by infinity. Getting your college degree is one thing, but the void you face after is much scarier. Thankfully, I met my wife my first year of college, and she helped me become a better man. So when we graduated from college, we were in it together. We all want that first job out of college that pays us $75,000, but for the majority of you, it won't happen that way, not the first time. I managed a restaurant right out of college, working 75 hours a week, making $28,000 a year. No bonus, no vacation time, nothing. That's not tough, that's scary. All of you have your own dreams, your own aspirations of what you're going to do, where you're going to be, and when you're going to get married. My dream was simple when I was your age. I wanted to teach high school English ever since I was a sophomore in high school. And I think by your vote, I've somewhat succeeded in that dream. Many of you who I had in class have taught me about what your passions are, and likewise have tried to learn the subject that I teach. But for me, my dream is beyond just high school now. I grew up in a military family. Most of you know of me living in New York City, but really my family is from the South. I'm from Alabama, and my parents are from Florida. The Florida before snowbirds and Disney. Since my birth in Alabama 31 years ago, I have moved 10 times. That's roughly one time every 3 years. I've lived longer here in Paris than anywhere else, and I love Paris. Those words seem simple to many of you, but every time my wife and I go on vacation, even if it's just over the weekend, I get homesick. I want to raise my family here. I want to stay at the high school. And as crazy as that might sound to all of you, I'm basing this off of living in 10 different places throughout my life. The truth is, I love my school. I love my town. All of you are my friends and family that I would only get to see every couple of years. And now I get to see you all the time. I go to the grocery store, I see Paige Underwood with his boyfriend. I go to the Chinese buffet and I see Bryce Schweitzer with his buddies. I stop by the movie store and I see Colin Shear. And the list doesn't stop. So I got my dream, but I have a new one. Here's your final assignment. It's not worth a grade. It's optional. But I'll do my best to pay you back if you succeed. Go to college, get a degree, and maybe find a starting job somewhere. But don't forget about Paris. Keep us in the back of your mind. Let it fester. Let it marinate. And hopefully one day, soon after that starting job, and maybe later, come back. Not to visit necessarily, maybe to live. Many of you don't like this town because there's nothing to do, or there's no opportunity, but there is. I need a jewelry store to go to that's Paris family owned so I can get my wife some jewelry when it's her birthday and when it's our anniversary. I teach so I need to dress well. So we need a men's clothing store. All types, maybe even have the ability to make tailored suits. Don't forget, I'm married for money, and my wife likes to spend it. So we need a women's clothing store too, all sizes, fashions, and types. We need a cabinet making company, because I know my wife will want to redo our kitchen at some point in time. And we need a coffee shop so I can take my wife on little dates and not have to spend the entire evening on just one date. We need a racetrack so that I can invite my in-laws and we can go to the races. These obviously aren't things I've told you, or things that I've told you I would support. I know many of our community members would support as well. There are many more that I haven't listed. And even if it isn't to open your own business, that's fine. Just know that even though you're graduating today, your family, your parents' family, would love to have you come back home someday. Whatever you decide to do and wherever you decide to go, always remember, students, and please recite with me. Stallings tradition. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Stallings tradition. No cheating. If you have any questions, please see me in my office. The door is always open. May the force be with you. Forcefully, of course. Good luck.